That's right. The crew that brought you Leaped in a live stream is back with something brand new for 22, and you won't want to miss it. Leap into podcasting. We're taking a leap into podcasting this year, September 29th and 30th. It's our third year of Leaped into Live, and we're bringing all that same energy this year for this 2-day virtual event. Join us September 29th and 30th. Two days of live sessions, workshops, and panel discussion. Over 20 podcasting experts and brands bringing their expertise to leap into podcasting. Topics include planning, production, distribution, promotion, strategy, tools and gear, workflows, and more. Go figure. Doc is going to talk about gear. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Here's the best part, people. The tickets are absolutely free.
Say what?
Free. Nix, nil, nada, nine, nothing, zilch, zero, free. F-R-E-E, free. Say you're busy and you can't make it? No problem. We'll be selling a replay pass, which includes virtual and physical podcasting guides with notes and bonuses from all the sessions. We got you covered. RSVP and save your spot today at leapintopodcasting.com. That's leapintopodcasting.com. Yeah! What's up, people? Welcome to The Flow. This is your man's Doc Rock, your community manager here at Ecamm, and I am still being jury sequestered in Hampton, Virginia. Uh-oh.
Where's Doc today? It's a game.
There's the Ring doorbell over there making noise to let me know that, I don't know, somebody in the neighborhood got an Amazon delivery. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, man, I wish it was me.
Oh, I know, right? You know what is so great over here? They have Amazon delivery in like a couple of hours. It's kind of bananas.
That's crazy.
Like, this is so
That's
dangerous.
crazy.
I'm going to send it on Amazon like every day. Anyway, gang, we are doing The Flow. This is the podcast where we show you the ins and outs of starting a podcast, but our approach is slightly different. We are on the live video first or video first way of doing podcasts. And this has been very interesting as of late, because as we spoke about recently, YouTube has added a podcast tab, if you will, and They are still fleshing that out. But from the conferences that we've been to over the last couple of weeks and the conference that we're going to next week, I don't even know what week it is anymore.
Next week.
Okay. We just had a whole meeting about this like 20 minutes ago. Anyway, the next conference that we're going to, again, it's going to be a lot of people talking about podcasting, but from a video first approach. And I will not sit here and pretend that we pioneered it, but we are definitely beating that drum until that drum becomes one of those giant things where, you know, Energizer Bunny. We're going to keep talking about it until it becomes real. Yeah, that's it. That's the plan. We're going to talk about it until it becomes real.
Absolutely. We're on like an event kick right now. So we were at Podcast Movement 2 weeks ago, and next week we're coming. I know, yeah, it's all a blur. Next week we're heading to Content Marketing World in Cleveland. The following week we're going to be at People of Video in New York. Then we're doing Leap into Podcasting, which you just heard a trailer for or saw a trailer for. So hopefully you will join us for that, because everything that we learn and that we're learning and everything that all of our friends and contacts know, we are literally giving to you for free. So there is not a better time to join us on this mission to get video first podcasts out there.
Yes. You know, my favorite thing is I like when I hear commercials, and like I like them so much that I start to imitate the commercial. So I can do that one too. Leap into podcasting. Wait, that is commercial.
Say what?
So it's not actually a real imitation because it's me. But yeah. So this is going to be fun. When we did our first flow, I actually got a DM from Janice Robinson Anderson. She said, wait, it's the other way around. Anderson Robinson. I got to remember it's Jar. That's what I say. Janice had asked, like, sort of what is our flow for the flow? And I gave her a brief rundown. I was like, yeah, it's real simple. We have a thing. We know we're going to come in. We're going to do our intro. And then if we have any promo materials or stuff to talk about, we'll do that. And then we'll do some basic sort of housekeeping, if you will. And then after the basic housekeeping, we will go in, do the show. And after the show, do Q&A. And she's like, yeah, but do you have that like in the sheet? And I was like, what? Okay, so, yeah. I happen to be a checklist person. I think so. I'm a checklist person. I make checklists before I travel. I make checklists, for different things before I cook. I check the ingredients, make sure they're all there. I think it's a military leftover. I am a checklist person, but I never really wrote out what my show flow was because I just did it from memory, I guess.
Deep feeling.
From feeling, yeah, I guess feeling. But I find that even for my own show, because I got yelled at by Keely, I was like, look, dude, you need to do these things in a certain order. And I was like, okay, so I tried it and I liked it. And then Stephanie had her tool that was also designed to help you do a run of show tool. And then so it was the virtual showmaker, which was also pretty cool. So I've gotten, I think, into a habit of doing a run of show, even though you don't realize that you do a run of show. Does that make sense?
I think so. It's funny. I feel like run of show or show flow or, the workflow for your show. There are a ton of videos and just an insane amount of content out there. I mean, even just on our channel about, the right way to do it. But it all comes down to really thinking through what you're going to do with your content. So you know it innately, and I think that's the point that people get a little bit stuck on. So everything that we talk about today is absolutely applicable to what you are creating, but the important thing to keep in mind is what do you want to do with your content? So in the podcasting space, you want to turn it into an audio podcast and get it out across different channels, but you probably also want to be able to use that video in a bunch of different ways, use those audio clips in a bunch of different ways. And so thinking through how you approach your flow and where the content is going is going to be really important to having a successful show flow or run of show.
Right. So, okay, what do you really need in order to have a decent run of show? A pen and an index card. That's about it.
No joke.
I have actually started working on what I thought would be the most universal for people in the community. So it's not completely fleshed out, but for the people listening at home, I am currently on the screen showing a PDF that I've started to put together in Apple Pages, believe it or not. And the only reason why I started it in Pages versus some other tool is because I started doing this on my iPad, sitting in the backyard watching the barbecue grill.
That is glorious.
That was the only reason why. There may have been whiskey involved, so look for any typos. But I was literally just sitting there watching the stuff on the Bobby. That was for my friends in Australia. I probably did that wrong. I don't know if Justin Brown is listening. But I literally was just tending to the grill. And so I had my iPad out there. And for some reason, I just thought about Pages as a simple way to do it. But in theory, you can literally just start with an index card or, Rocketbook is great because you can erase them and it's, more eco-friendly, if you will. But yes, I just started throwing together a list in the Pages. So give you an idea of some of the sections that I started working with. I wrote in my intro. So if I have any intro paragraph, I left that blank because that will change from time to time. And then what we normally do is, as if you've been here in the past, if you watch the live tapings or watch the video version, even I guess sort of listen to the audio version, we'll have topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, and then we'll go into, say, a synopsis, if you will, a closing argument.
Roundup.
Roundup. There we go.
Yeah.
I've been watching legal shows. What can you do? and then we'll go into a brief outro, of which right now we still don't have a polished outro, but sooner or later we will get to that. Like, this episode of The Flow has been brought to you by Ecamm Live, a product of Ecamm Network. Ecamm Live is the greatest live streaming software ever if you are a Mac user. And then we'll be like, this show was produced by such and such and such, edited by Luis, Mr. Camera Junkie Wega. and so forth, so on, etc. And then we can say things like we using the tools of Ecamm Live, Descript, and Captivate.fm. That's a good way to do an outro, if you will. And of course, the reminder to everyone. And this is your reminder now. Not this is a demonstration, but it is an actual reminder, so you can do both. If you haven't already, go over to the iTunes podcast application and leave a review for the flow if you are enjoying the content that you are receiving, because reviews and sharing are the best things you can do to support your favorite podcasters.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really that easy. So, the more formulaic and outlined that you make it, the easier it is to do all of your episode planning. We've, as we just said, have been traveling nonstop and, attending a ton of events, and there's a lot of other stuff that's going on. So there are, times where we're thinking on the fly to get this show together, but it's really easy with this show flow because we know that we have the topic, what are the 3 questions that we're going to ask and answer, and then, and then the wrap up, and it makes it just so much easier for us to curate the content. It also makes it way easier on the repurposing side, which is one of the reasons why having a run of show is so important. If you want to repurpose the content into, let's say, a blog post or shorter video clips, if you have those 3 points, or 3 questions that you're asking, Doc even makes it so much easier because he actually visually brings them up on screen. So it's just so easy to clip those individual points, right? So you need a podcast editor. That was from last week, right? So then we know when we're looking at this video, that's the point where we're going to clip it. That's the point where we're going to grab that transcript and be able to fit that into a blog post. It has made the repurposing and editing and kind of production side, post-production side, significantly easier and faster for us because we have this very specific flow and we stick to it every single week.
Well, yeah, I think the other thing is certain things sort of become muscle memory. You just know, right? And what I always like, and when you get to the area where you have sponsor breaks, for instance, I like when the hosts know how to segue into a sponsor break. Now, this is something that you're going to have to make a choice on, and I will try whenever possible to tell you when this is something that you make a choice on versus this is a hard and fast rule. Truth be told, almost all hard and fast rules are applicable to be broken, but the reason why they tend to be hard and fast rules is because they work. Now, my boss when I was in radio, Mr. Alan Oda, he always said, never foreshadow a commercial break. Never, never, never. Right? And to this
they don't want to lose listeners, right?
Yeah,
so.
Because on the radio, when you're driving, it's funny now because we don't hardly do this anymore, but on the radio when you're driving, like, Katie and I have a long road trip from Massachusetts to New York coming up very soon, and somebody would come on and be like, hey, this is DJ David Hunt, and after the break, we're going to, as soon as he say after the break, switch channel. Like, I don't even hear the rest of it because we know that we're about to lose that music that we're trying to listen to, right? So there is a way, as you practice, to segue your commercials without telling people that you're going to commercials. Okay? Telling someone after the break is a way to make them leave. It's a good break point. It's a good place for them to stop. And considering the video version of your show, YouTube, and actually I believe Spotify and Apple Music as well, they do track session time. Session time means open the app, press play on a particular thing. If that thing allowed a person to stay on the platform for X amount of consecutive time,
it's a new word.
It gives that person algorithmic oomph, right? So if your video, your reel, your TikTok, your podcast is the procuring cause of somebody sitting down and listening to a particular app or using a particular app for an hour, you actually get credit for being the person who started that, So you don't want to give people a break point, like an easy run to the bathroom, grab a beer, change the station, switch topics, if you will. So think about that when you do your breaks. So if we were going to be talking, say the script was a sponsor. Right now, they're just a tool that we use, but they're not a sponsor of the show. We could say something about, text-to-speech is getting really, really incredible, and you'd be marveled by how powerful text-to-speech is and what you can do with it as a way of expanding your brand or creating articles and the various touch points you need for marketing. Speaking of which, let's talk about the script. That's a segue. Natural, flowing, easy segue, as opposed to, all right, we're going to take a word from our sponsor. So be careful of that when you put those things in your notes.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important. And we are going to be bringing on sponsor ads and videos and things like that, predominantly to show you what the process is going to be like, as well as to just talk through, what are the tools and the other, brands that we work really closely with on this show. So I think that'll be helpful, and certainly any questions that you have as we start introducing those, we'd be happy to hear. But yeah, that's a really good point. And that's one we don't often think about as much when we're kind of with our live streaming hats on. It's a little bit less common to do in like a live stream show, but certainly very common to do on a podcast. So, planning that out, if that's something that's important to you, I think is really important. So, maybe it's like your flow is, your intro, your welcome, your first question, ad break, your second question, ad break, your third question, like being able to really think through where those breaks are and how they flow is going to be important as you're planning out each episode.
I just realized something. I have you down as Luis. Okay, switched you back. Okay.
I can be Luis. So we told you we were working on the fly this week, so.
It's like, wow, Luis looks so much better, especially in a Canada sweater.
I know, right?
Katie is representing her really cool Canada sweater.
I am. I woke up this morning, so I just got back from the Outer Banks in North Carolina, where it was like hot and sunny and we were in the ocean and it was like vacation mode. And first day back here at work and first day for the kids back at school, it's like 60 and raining and windy. so I had to grab a quick sweatshirt on the way into the office this morning. It was definitely a switch from summer to fall. It was just like done.
Nice. Okay, so something else that you might want to add to your planner, if you will. And again, people, you can do this in Canva, Pages, Microsoft Word, Google Sheets, whatever you have. You don't have to, it doesn't even have to be pretty because no one's going to see it but yourself, right? If you like pretty things, knock yourself out. I know if Michelle Lawrence was around here, she would style hers up exactly perfect. But just this is just some of the things you might think of. So the key elements again are, I have the name of the episode. I have any guest information if I have that at the ready, because I might want to give, Katie's my guest instead of my co-host in this case. I would want to give her social medias and whatever. Give your guests an opportunity to market or share whatever it is that they're currently using as their top of funnel. So for instance, if Keely was our guest, I know that we know her channels and things like that, and she has two. She has her umpire thing and she has her Discord for Creator thing. But right now, coming on the Discord for Creator thing, I would like, do you have a special promo or something that you want to do in the show? So get that information, write that in as well. And then I think it's helpful. You don't have to. These are some of mine. I put the date recorded and the episode number. And once I'm done, I write down the episode length, because some of your podcast apps, for instance, Captivate, if you tell it these things, it will use that as part of the metadata when you go up there. So again, we got our intro, our topic, outro. Leave yourself some room for notes at the end, so that there's any links or anything that you need to put in. But then I like in that note section, a place to remember where something super rad was said or a great question was said. So in the past couple of episodes, if someone in the audience, because we do record this live on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, see what I did? I do a screenshot, and I screenshot those questions because those questions might become something that we can generate an episode for later. Like this question. This question literally came from Janice sliding into my DM and asking me, hey, what does the show flow look like, right?
Yep.
And then something else that you might think about doing is having, on that same sheet, if you have space, leave yourself your recording checklist and your editing checklist. And I think this is important because it's a reminder to you to make sure that your Ecamm is recording. If you have the RCP running a backup, or you're running a secondary backup, For instance, one of the things I pressed on the mic that I'm using today, I'm not in my studio, so I'm using the Rode Video Mic NTG. One of the modes has a safety channel. So I put the safety channel on, so just in case when it gets recorded, the left side, cause on a microphone for a podcast, it's mono. You don't really need stereo because you have a single mouth. The stereo would be fake regardless, right? So what it does is it gives you a strong, properly left channel, but then the right channel, they attenuate it by like 10 decibels. So that way, if you were peaking or whatever, they could use the lower channel and pick it back up because you're recording at a good, digital recording nowadays, you have room to play. So do things like remember to set the safety channel, remember to check the battery and the cameras, remember to make sure that Katie is not Luis. Things like that. So those are some of the things that you might want to add to your checklist. Give yourself that never changes every episode because they're basically the same, but give yourself room that, again, if Keely was the guest and she asked for something very specific, like Katie wear that sweater because, they're Canadian.
Represent.
Then you can do your thing. Katie, you need a USA sweater now, by the way.
I know, I do. I need a USA sweater. Yeah, I would say too, on that note, that once you have your handwritten or typed up or whatever your show flow structure is, and you are doing a similar workflow to what we are doing, where if you're starting with video, which we hope you are, or starting with live streaming, you can then build out your profile in a tool like Ecamm to be able to actually have, all of your graphics, your guest name, all of that already ready to go before you hit the go live or the recorded button. So, again, it's like notes first, and then you're able to build it out. And then each week it literally just comes down to being able to changing the co-host name back at the bottom, or, adding in maybe a couple of different graphics or things that you're going to be talking about. But the structure is all there and doesn't change every single week. And it's in the right order. So you're already, ready to go, and you have those visual reminders. You know what your countdown timer or your intro scene looks like, what the main, points are going to look like. It just makes sure that you're not going to forget anything and that everything looks exactly the way that you want it to. So, having the notes is great, and I think is the absolute place that you should be starting, whether it's whiteboarding or writing or drawing, however you want to put them together, and then getting them into whatever tool you're using each week to actually create or record or build that content is awesome, so that you just have all of those templates ready to go. You're saving yourself a ton of time.
Absolutely. I want to show something else real quick here. Again, for the people at home, I am showing the PDF, but you can understand this just from the notes. One of the areas that I didn't put, and I think I should, because I just noticing a question from the audience, instead of this reflection section, I'm going to probably change this to sponsor section.
Good point.
Because that way I can remember to add any sponsor/affiliate reads, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I have any special sponsor or affiliate reads, I might put that there instead, because that's a good way to remind myself to go ahead and say that. I know that I am often teaching the people for the Ecamm Live affiliate. Again, if you are an Ecamm user and you're not an Ecamm Live affiliate yet, you should do that now by going to affiliates.ecamm.com. See, there you go, live read. It's a reminder because I've done many, many shows where I've completely forgot to mention my affiliate associations, which is one of the things that you can do to help you monetize your podcast, right? So when you're using something like Captivate, or question came up today about Epidemic Sound, about what is the track that we're using, things like that, add those to your show notes. But if possible, people do work better from the live read. So you want to say something to the nature of our intro music was Egg Rolls by just Joby, and I forgot the other person, but it's on Epidemic Sounds, and you can get that by going to Epidemic Sounds whatever your link is. Paul knows mine. He'll put it in the chat down there. Or, I'm at the end, I'm going to talk about gear or something. You might say this show is produced with, and you can find the full gear list for what we produce this show with in the show notes. Things like that. Those are great for yourself to make sure that you are monetizing what you're working with. And that will make it'll become more easy to have the energy to keep going. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and I think those are always the questions that come up on, on any podcast or on any, video that you're doing. It's whatever you're talking about, people want to know, more about those things, especially if you're doing something that is, tutorial based or you're helping people figure something out. I think it's not salesy as much as just a need. People want to know, where that is. People are always asking, what microphone Doc's using, or what what tool we use to do that, or how we're bringing this or that in. So yeah, I think it's something that's perfect, and again, perfect to go into the outro, which we don't have yet, but will. So if you miss doing it during the middle of the the actual podcast itself, it's certainly something that you could just build into your into your outro that would be the same every single week, so that you're setting that expectation and you don't have to think about it as much.
Yes, the last thing I want to add, and I think this is a thing to remember because this is something from B school, business school. My teacher was like, your mission statement is a live document. Your business plan is a live document. Your run of show should be a live document. So, for instance, there's going to come a point like, this go round, for instance, right? This is the first show of the month. So, as a way of sort of giving back to the Ecamm community, we could have a section where we highlight our members of the month and congratulate them and thank them. That's something that they currently do on our show ENN, but that could be something that you would add in if you had a community member of the month that you might put in. Or you want to give props to someone in your community who generated a great tutorial or a great article, a birthday section, shout outs, wedding anniversaries, baby announcements. You can have a place to put that in so that you are giving that thing back to your community. Now, it's something in Ecamm we try to do as much as possible is let our community members shine. But as you are creating your podcast, see if you can either, grok some ideas from us or other people where you give your community a chance to shine, because the community building is the key. It is the absolute key. I think that was the last one. I just want to make sure that you remember, make your document so that it's easy for you to be flexible and make adjustments. And so it will be a living, breathing document as well. And then once you fill out your run and show, if you have a guest, remember to send it to the guest. Something that Evie and Stephanie and Kirk always did was send us what the run and show looks like, so that way they know what to expect when expecting. Wait, that's a book.
Yeah, and it just helps guests understand too, like what the time commitment is. You guests may say like, sure, I'm happy to join, but they don't necessarily know that they'll be on for 40 minutes or an hour or 10 minutes, or so understanding like what the questions are that they'll be asked, how long the show normally is, how long they can expect to be on, whether there's an after show. All of those things are things that guests may not even think to ask, but would really value knowing up front.
That's it. I think that's it. That's the sort of the run of shows. So yes, in the beginning, start out maybe with some index cards and paper, ink, just scratch it down. And then after you start to develop a feel for how you like it, go ahead and put those guys into something that's easily fillable. So Pages works because you can generate it as a fillable PDF. Something like Illustrator or even Canva. Canva, you will make it as a PDF, download it, and then you have to run it through a PDF fillable type thing like Adobe Acrobat, or there's websites that will help you generate a fillable PDF. But hey, you could also open in like GoodNotes or Notability on an iPad and do it there. So make it easy for yourself, and just remember to be flexible. And if you miss something, you just fix it later. So last thing about that outro, for instance, if we forgot to say it, once we record it once, if the information hasn't changed, you're able to just pick it up from the last episode and place it back on. Now, when we were at Movement, I'm trying to get my shows together. The team over at Captivate told Rich something really incredible, and I didn't get a chance to circle back with them yet. But they have a service on their side. It's called Amy, and it's kind of an AI media something. So for instance, you can take your intro, your middle read, what they call it, mid-roll, and your outro, and you can make them dynamic. So what that means,
cool.
this being our 6th recording of the flow, which means that next week's show with Aubrey will hit our master 7. So we did it.
We're done. See you later.
See you later, guys. Peace out. We would be able to like change all the mid rolls to be Leap promos because of this month. And if there were any specials coming up, for something, or Black Friday, or, Ecamm 25th anniversary or whatever, we could change that role. It will change on every podcast played that's not downloaded. Like if you play in a player, like, I don't know, Overcast or something, as opposed to download the episode, it will pop all the way through, which is incredible because it allows you to have a elastic spot, if you will. So we're going to dig more into learning how to do that so that we can do that for us. There you go. Yeah.
The one last thing that I want to say before we jump over into live Q&A is that as you, and we hope you join us next time. So if you're listening and you're not here live with us, you can catch us live 12 p.m. on Tuesdays on YouTube Eastern. But the last thing that I wanted to say is that really, as you're building out your show flow and you're getting, comfortable with doing it regularly, it's following the same process, is to make sure that you, again, think through what you may want to do with that content as far as repurposing goes. So, again, the structure that we have is really focused on having this live studio audience, but we don't want to antagonize any of our listeners who are not here with us live. So we don't take any questions from our live audience, even though you're all sitting here watching and we see your questions coming through. We leave that to the beginning and the end so that it's easy for us to trim that content off to be able to only get the content that matters to the people who want to listen to it in the way they want to listen to it, if that makes sense. So, we're not going to put live questions on screen and, have replay viewers feel sad that they're not able to actually, ask questions live, or we're not going to, make it really hard and make an episode that's all really super visual when we have podcast listeners who aren't actually watching us. So think through some of that, especially as it comes to the structure, that you might not want to take live questions or kind of behind the scenes stuff if in the middle of the episode, because it'll be much harder for you to trim that out and to edit it. So
correct. I think the way you can do it is if your people have, again, we do have this, it's just no one does it yet. Everyone does it live, which is cool. You can say, if you have a question and you want to get it on the podcast, please send us an email at flow@ecamm.com. That's FLOW at ECAMM.com. So you can preload your questions. It's just, I believe what normally happens with the community is the question comes to them while we are live.
As they're watching.
Why we do the live taping, which is why live video first is the move, people. This is the secret sauce. Like, you're literally finding out that secret sauce is basically ketchup and mayo mixed with relish and onions. McDonald's.
It's easier than you think. Yeah.
It's easier than you think. So because the questions do come up at the time, like, Runny had a very good, very, very good question. And even without putting it on screen, I'm able to work it into the conversation without reading the whole question. So that's some of the stuff that you'd be able to do. But yes, people can preload their questions. And in that case, I think it is cool because if you preloaded questions, we could do question of the week. Hey, I got a question. You'd be able to do some kind of cool promo. And then the person who got the question of the week, you'd be able to give them a shout out, let people know about their show or whatever. So there's some way you can gamify that if you would love to have that as part of your thing. Right now, we're just lucky we have a very active studio audience, and that gives us time to sort of do it live here on the show. So I think that's a very, very valid point there, Miss Kate.
Thank you. I think that's all I had as far as genius points. I think, like anything else,
post-vacation
it just takes time to think it through. Post-vacation genius points on this cold day is all the same advice we give you every single week, is to take some time, think it through, scope it out, plan it out, write it out, and then do it. Stop overthinking it and just do it.
The main thing is to just start. I have been sitting here over the last couple of days trying to generate an acronym for start. That has to do with our video first podcasting thing. I have it written down on my paper, some other things. So yeah, it's just kind of funny. And I'm glad you mentioned that part about repurposing, because that might even be something that you put in your show flow to remember to get those. So for instance, you might want to be able to tease the next week's episode. And you know that you want to keep that within inside 90 seconds so that you can generate that as a reel. Or maybe the platform you use is YouTube. So you might want to keep that within inside 60 seconds, 59 actually. So you want to work that in and say, hey, as a reminder, guys, don't forget next week, we're going to have a special guest. Aubrey Howell Robinson is going to come on, and then she's going to be talking to us about her podcast, which is really cool. It's called The Morning Minute or something like that. See, now I forgot what it's called. Aubrey, sorry, don't shoot me. So you'd be able to kind of like rock that out. Man, it's a minute-ish. That's what it's called. It's the super funny because it's not quite a minute. It's a minute-ish morning. It's a minute-ish. Motivational minute-ish. That's what it is. There we go. I got it out. Anyway, you'd be able to put that in your show. So you set those up. And again, you know exactly where you can clip. So that's it, gang. Yeah. For the people listening at home, this has been another episode of The Flow, and what we do want to remind you is that there is a live taping, and if you ever like to come to the live taping to be able to slide your questions in and just be part of the fun. I mean, we have like 35 people rocking right now, and they're already throwing their questions, which we hang around and answer those after. You can always do that by going over to our YouTube channel, and we're Ecamm Live on YouTube or youtube.com/Ecamm Live, and you will find us every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Also, this recording comes out a week later, so you kind of get the information with a week head start. That's the best way. And again, if you'd like to send us questions, you can at flow, F-L-O-W, at ecamm.com. flow@ecamm.com. That's for questions. And yeah, the best place to find us is flow.ecamm.com in order to get to the podcast getting. There's Apple and Spotify and Google and Stitcher and about 3,100 other places you can find us. So go over to that master page there, and then all you have to do is just remember it is flow.ecamm.com. Alrighty then. That's it. It's so simple. It's so simple. Just remember to join us every week, and you can become part of the flow. Any last words, Katie?
I'm thinking as you're saying that we need like a fun term for, like, we have the Ecamm fan, but we need like a flow community nickname. We're gonna have to think about it. If anyone thinks about like it's not a good name for nicknames off of it, but like if anyone has genius nicknames for what we should call all y'all who are sitting here hanging out with us, let us know.
We're some bad moflos.
Yeah, you can be some bad moflos.
Stop. Oh my God, this is fun. Guys, appreciate you. Let's get ready to fire over into our Q&A section, and we'll see you next week here on The Flow.
Bye, everyone.
Luis, I hope you find a good spot to get out of that bad boy. Gang, you know what? I have to apologize to all you guys. I got so excited to talk about what we were talking about. I forgot to do the housekeeping stuff in the beginning, so we're doing it now.
Well, we can do it now.
Yeah, just drop your questions in, and oh my God, Miles, man, where you been, bro? Like, everybody in the community knows this about me. Like, I will cancel entire streams for a good game. So, yes, if you have questions, by all means, please drop those down in the bottom below now. And of course, you know the whole Q colon thing, how that sort of works. And yeah, that's it. That's it for Q. You guys all know what to do. You guys are the best community in town. So, Miles, we can't be Flow Bros because Katie is not a bros. Last I checked.
I can be a bros. We can be Flow Bros. Flow Bros and Katie.
That's funny. Yeah, Mo Flows is good. Flowers, there you go. Really great question, by the way. It was really cool to be able to try to work your question in without calling out it's a question from the audience, because we don't want the people listening to feel sort of left out, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Mills.
And if you haven't, I'm seeing people talking about how awesome your checklist is, Doc. We are dropping all of the awesome extras and bonuses and everything that we create. And when Doc finishes that up, we'll drop that in as well from today's episode. But you can find it ecamm.tv/flow freebies, all lowercase, all one word. So that folder has 2, I think, PDFs in it right now, more to come. And it looks like lots of you are signed up for Leap into Podcasting, which is super exciting, where we have the schedule finalized. We're working on getting all of that information, schedule and speakers and everything up. We have an awesome guide coming. So we're going to have a print version as well as a PDF version. So whether you physically want a guidebook or you want to have the PDF version, and replays, not only to just this year's sessions, but we're selling a replay pass that will give you access to all of the Leap sessions. So 2020, 2021, and this year, if you want to just sit there and flow through all of the content, you will get it. And probably also some fun swag. So lots coming. Hopefully you are all signed up and ready to rock with us.
So Katie, what you just said, man, we're on a roll today with Mr. Calmeda's questions, because one of his questions was, what can you do in your podcast to get people's emails so you build your list? And this is sort of one of them, right? What Katie is speaking about with our checklist or our PDFs or the other ancillary documents that we come up with, those are what in the industry or some people call as a tripwire, some people call them the gifts. Actually, a gift is more relevant in this case. A tripwire you normally charge like $1 for, because you want to get them to break the wall of commerce, if you will. So anything that you could think of in your podcast that could be like a free guidebook. I just had my fantasy draft, which I failed miserably. But there are people who are sending out their fantasy picks, like make sure you pick these people. These are top, drafted rookies, and you put in your email address and they send you the fantasy picks that you would want to pick. And I should have did that because my team sucks. But yeah, it's just small things that you could think of. I was at my cousin's this week and we had some really, really epic ribs, and her husband did it so good that they tasted fantastic with no sauce, right? And I was like, yo, Eric, I need the recipe. And he was like, no, man, this is a closely guarded family secret. I would admit it that you married my cousin, then we're family, so give it up. So, like if I get the recipe from him, I could take and be like, do you guys want to taste ribs that are so good they don't need sauce? Here's the recipe. Like, just go drop your email over here. I'll send you how to do it. And it was done with a, not even a pellet grill. It was a plain old Home Depot grill, but it was amazing. Things like that. Awesome. Rich could have his list of places to go eat in Dallas, right? And that'll be, you're coming to go visit Dallas. Thanks again, Rich, man. You were huge, seriously thanks. One of the best hosts ever. Man, that's all I can say about that. Because the last one, the Rodeo Goat hamburger place, oh my goodness. First of all, what kind of place is called Goat that tastes good hamburgers? Anyway, that kind of stuff you use as a good way to get people on your list. And this stuff is really, really handy, and you're helping them out as well. And then you just occasionally, not intentionally, I guess both, drip things to them as they come to you, behind the scenes stuff or special trainings, things like that.
Yeah. Or eventually you probably will get to a point where you'll want to build some kind of membership level, whether it's, a Discord or a Patreon or like something else where you'll have people signing up at a paid level where you're collecting email addresses that way as well. So there's other options for you to kind of build your community, whether it's collecting email addresses or it's, pushing them to a space where it's, sign up only or membership only. Lots of choices out there for you, for sure.
Keely had a great point. She said the title screens are a game changer. Started using those for FH Umpire a few months ago. And it's just chapterizing YouTube streams takes a fraction of the time now. Okay, gang. And as a reminder, in this particular version that I'm using today, I'm using Ecamm Live Beta. So for instance, if I were to go into demo mode and see this, you only get being here for the live tape because nobody else will see this. Let me just hide pages for a second so as to cause less confusion. And I was going to tell you guys, we are 25 downloads away from hitting 500. So everybody make sure you download the latest episode And then boom, we're in there. Okay, so here we are in the back end, and there's Keely's question, and I might want to mark that to do a social media thing, right? So I can just hit M, and it says marker added right underneath where you see Katie's name. It says marker added right there. And so what's going to happen is at the end, I get a list with the timestamps for every time something is there. So in the latest version of the beta, which hopefully we'll be delivering out soon, the beta is available now at ecammlive.com/beta. You can just press M in order to generate those markers, which will make chapterizing a lot easier, but also make it easy for your repurpose game. When you know you're about to say something cool and you know that it's going to be for you're going to purposely make something out of this later, pop the M key or Stream Deck button or pedal or whatever you're into and get it going that way. So thank you, Keels, for that piece of info. Then Dicky Sarkeesian, my man, said, is podcast reviews only on the U.S. podcast servers? No, I don't think so, because I'm on the British Tech Network podcast for many, many years, and we would always get those reviews come in. We actually had a whole segment where we go over the reviews, good, bad, or indifferent. We always went over the reviews, and some of the reviews are pretty funny because people are special. Mr. Gloss says, Moflos, I love it. Where's my shirt?
I know, yeah. We'll get right on it. We're right now, the merch team is focused on helping us get the Leap into Podcasting gear out, but that's next on the list. When we come up with a fun name we agree on. Aw, thank you.
Particularly fantastic, and it has nothing to do with the sweater.
Oh, but the sweater helps, right?
Man, you guys had really, really good questions today, so I appreciate you guys for doing that and always coming through. And thank you, Robin, for always showing up for the recordings and things like that. So yeah, that's it, gang. That's the flow for this week. Again, next week we do have a special guest, and we will be recording from Cleveland. Like Kim says, we are some traveling somebodies, which I find absolutely hilarious, because when I came to Virginia this go around, this is my first time meeting my 2-year-old, I guess the terminology is grandniece, which sounds weird. Oh God. Anyway, my niece's daughter. And for the first day, she just kept calling me somebody. Somebody has to help me. And then they finally taught her my name, and I wish they hadn't taught her that, because every 2 seconds, Uncle Sean, Uncle Sean. I was like, oh my God, little kid, go away. But to never teach a 2-year-old your name to your own peril. Even if it's your kid, just be like, I'm that lady. Don't tell them your name. Exactly. Super funny. Katie, thank you. I'm glad you made it back. And I did. Yeah, it's going to be, it's kind of crazy. We're going to be together for a really long time, for like the next month.
See you next week and the week after and the week after. Yeah, we'll be best friends.
Yes, it's going to be fun. And I can't wait for people of video. I feel like, like in sports, right? When you have your home field advantage, I feel like People of Video is a conference that's home field advantage. I think that is like the Ecamm fam show through and through. So that and Leap into Podcasting, of course, is definitely home field advantage. But I think both of those two are just going to feel way more natural to us. So things will flow a lot better.
We will catch you all next time, and then see you in a week, Doc.
Yes, see you soon. All right, gang. I got one more thing for you guys before we get out of here, because I just got to remind you to make sure you do it. I do not want you to forget. I don't want you to call last minute and go, hey, I forgot. I just do it now. It's going to take seconds, and all you need right now is your email address. So go get it. That's right. The crew that brought you Leaped in a live stream is back with something brand new for 22, and you won't want to miss it. Leap into Podcasting. We're taking a leap into podcasting this year, September 29th and 30th. It's our 3rd year of Leaped into Live, and we're bringing all that same energy this year for this 2-day virtual event. Join us September 29th and 30th. Two days of live sessions, workshops, and panel discussion. Over 20 podcasting experts and brands bringing their expertise to leap into podcasting. Topics include planning, production, distribution, promotion, strategy, tools and gear, workflows, and more. Go figure. Doc is going to talk about gear. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Here's the best part, people. The tickets are absolutely free.
Say what?
Free. Nix, nil, nada, nine, nothing, zilch, zero, free. F-R-E-E, free. Say you're busy and you can't make it? No problem. We'll be selling a replay pass, which includes virtual and physical podcasting guides with notes and bonuses from all the sessions. We got you covered. RSVP and save your spot today at leapinthepodcasting.com. That's leapintopodcasting.com.